Hey everybody, JJ here, back again for another Saturday Zoom networking. Really excited about today's guest speaker. She's someone I've known for quite a while now, a number of years. We've actually met in person. Um, Extremely impressive. I've followed her on social media. We met through the Fortune Builders community 5 years ago, and just watched her grow and grow. She's absolutely amazing. My good friend, Ginger Crystal Faith. Ginger, how are you?
I'm great, JJ. Thanks for having me on. This is my very first podcast.
Hot dog. I'm
I'm
excited.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a good little group here.
Awesome.
I think my podcast differs a lot from all the other ones because I really like to talk about the person a little bit more, not just about the field of expertise. And your field of expertise is very popular, something people want to know about. We've got a pretty good turnout here today, which is fantastic. Um, for those that don't know you, where in the country are you located?
I'm located in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Cool, cool. Um, I wanted to talk about real estate. We all get started in a different way at a different time. Some people get started in their teens or 20s. They're fortunate enough to have that opportunity. Some folks like myself don't get started till later in life, and that's just the way that goes. We all just jump in at a different time. Um, some of us, our path of when we get going with business is in, I'll just say for the most part, when we're leaving school, getting into the workforce, we're driving at 16, we're voting at 18, we're able to buy an alcoholic beverage at 21. For you, for these transition years from your teens into your 20s, uh, was real estate something that you was aware to you, or did it come later in life? If it didn't come right away, what were you doing like in high school, in your teens and 20s, college? Were you doing school, or what were you doing then?
Well, actually, I got involved with real estate very early. I read a book called Nothing Down by Robert Allen. So people have been in the industry for a long time. They know Robert Allen. He's an old timer now. But at the time, that was kind of the cool thing. And I read his book, Nothing Down. And he laid out a wealth strategy. And he said, if you buy one house per year for 10 years and pay off the mortgages, there's your retirement strategy. And I read this in the early 90s. And so I thought I would just jump it. And I thought, well, how about if I buy a six family house right away? And so that was my leapfrog 30 years ago into real estate investing world.
Wow. So your first acquisition was a multifamily.
Was a multifamily in 1994. It was the 7,000 square foot Victorian house, and it was really ugly and it looked like a haunted house. But I thought it was so cool. I ended up painting it purple, cream, and pink, and it was a painted lady. And I got all sorts of attention for it. And then I got tenants lining up with applications, wanting to rent it as soon as I dolled it up to a painted lady. And I had no frame of reference for this at all. It was just something like I looked at it and I thought, this should be pretty colors. And I mean, I had more guts than brains at the time. But it worked out and that launched my career. And it was literally in 1994. So it'll be 30 years this year that I got involved.
Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, crazy story.
So as you got going in, obviously you've made multiple acquisitions through the years. Uh, did you start the real estate education platform? And there are groups out today like Seb2, Astro, Fortune Builders, Clever Investor, Bill Allen, Seven Figures. There's so many of them out there. Um, were these aware of you right away, or did you find them later? Because we actually met through a real estate education program.
Right, right. I read books and I did things. If you know, you've seen me, you've seen me on Facebook. I had my tool time belt. I
Mhm.
had my shorts and my hiking boots, and I was over there flipping properties in 1996,
Oh,
right? So that was just something I just like, let me figure it out. And I would talk to people and I talked to other successful investors who were out also doing it. They were all guys at the time. And a funny story that I'm putting in my new book I'm writing. In 1995, I think it was 95, I attended a class on trusts. how to open up a trust to protect your assets because my assets were growing really quickly. And one of the guys actually asked me if I was there looking for a husband. And at the time, it was like shocking, but now it's just a joke. It's kind of funny now, not because women were not investing in real estate, and they definitely weren't putting on work boots and tool belts and figuring this stuff out in the '90s. That was just something so strange. But I wanted to learn, and I was just been an avid learner. So I attended several classes, but I would do the cheapy weekend workshops, and then I would read the books and then I would do it. I never invested heavily into my education until about 5 years ago.
Mhm.
And it was only because there's been a lot of technology that's been growing really quickly, and I wanted to make sure that I was up on things that might be more current. One of the challenges being 30 years in the business is that you think of old prices and you think of old things before inflation, and so it's and old ways of doing things. So it's critical right now. Things are going so quickly, and they're outpacing us all the time. So we really have to keep on top of things. So now I'm more. Not only do I have my own education that I'm working on, but I find that through my learning through others, I'm able to help others as well. So
Mhm.
it's pulling from the past, but also being on that razor's edge because the future's different and it's always evolving. And we really have to keep on top of things.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And I'm sure you can agree, time goes by so quickly that before we know it, it's just like, weeks and months and years have gone by, and we're at one point in time, we're no longer the new kids on the block. And it's just important that we continue to give back as you've always done. And
Right.
you're just amazing with what you do to help people. Um, so let me, as you've grown into multifamily, have you found it easier? Are you all in your local area? Are you out of state also? How far do you go with your ownership? I mean, are you in one state, two states, multiple states?
Yeah, that's a great question, JJ. And that's one of the evolutions. Okay. One of the things that my life's mission is, JJ, is to, I've been a successful real estate investor for 30 years, and I have developed techniques over the past 30 years that I feel like I can help women compress 20 years into 5 years by strategies. And there are things today that are available. Airbnb was not available when I was buying multifamilies, when I was buying houses, and long distance. If you talk to some of the old timers, they say long distance, state by state, um, uh, property ownership is not possible. But then the young people are doing it. I noticed about 10 years ago. So, right. So if the young people, why are the young people doing it? Because they don't know that it can't be done.
Mhm.
And so I have property in California, and also have property out of state. Some of them are with property managers, and others on my Airbnbs, I literally just have a ground team, and I manage it, but I have a ground team who really are doing most of the work. I just make sure everything's done properly. And even my rentals here in California, they're not in my backyard. They're a little further out, where the price ratios work a little bit better. So I visit them maybe once a quarter. I try to, just to see how everything's going, but I have an amazing ground team. So those are things that weren't available years ago. And so we are so incredibly blessed right now that we can compress time by learning and knowing what strategies are available right now. And Airbnb is one of them, or short-term rentals, midterm rentals, whatever. But Airbnb is like the the the,
Yeah.
the flavor of the brand.
Does every property that come your way, do you keep them all? Are you exclusively buy and hold? Are you wholesaling anything? Are you just maybe doing little repairs, rehabs, and then selling to other investors, or is it strictly buy and hold for you?
That's a great question, JJ. I'm a broker. I've been a broker since 2005 in California, so I help people. Okay, and again, my one of my major focuses is how can I help women use real estate to create wealth. right? So with that, some situations I'm literally brokering the deal. I have something come to me and I'm educating women or men too, of course, but I'm educating women. I just before we got on the call, I have a young lady who's going out to an open house now. I have a buyer agreement. She and I are going to be working together. But I was giving her, I don't have to do the open house with her. She can go and look around and see if it's a nice house while I visit with you. But afterward, I'll be reading the inspection reports with her and so on. Right. So I'm not just buy and hold. My team recently flipped up a really nice property. We bought it for 2 million. We put in 1.25 and we sold it for 4.8. So that was a flip. But I took the cash and I bought two buy and holds with it. Not all of it. Some of it I squirreled away, and some of it I paid taxes on. But so it's really about the wonderful thing about real estate and the opportunities that are here for us is it's your creativity is endless. So it's really a matter of like, what is this particular situation? What are the challenges with this particular situation? And is this best? Is the highest and best a buy and hold? Is the highest and best to just pitch it? Is the highest and best to just sell it, to a retail buyer just as is?
And
Um,
Pace Morby talks about there's always multiple exit strategies.
mhm.
Yeah, you could sell it, you could keep it, you could, so there are multiple options. And again, it's amazing how you're so nice and you're so smart and so successful. It's like did it all come so easy to you? But of course there's challenges along the way, Pace Morby, Pace is the one that's I'm in his education program right now, and he talks all about all the different hats to wear, acquisition, disposition, who handles the paperwork, who's the transaction coordinator,
Right.
are there systems that need to be implemented, who's the integrator for those things. Um, have you always worked by yourself? Have you implemented VAs? Have you had to build out a team? We've got a lot of people on the call now. Some of them are new. Some of them are going
Yeah.
to be watching on YouTube weeks and months later. Some of them will be new.
Right.
Is this something we say it all the time, you can't do it by yourself. So as you've grown and become successful, what are some of the paths you've crossed? I mean, have you used VAs? Have you had joint venture partners? Um, had you allowed other people to maybe do your dispo or acquisition? How have some of those things transpired for you?
That's a great question, JJ. Um, yes, I've always had help. I've always had help and all sorts of help between contractors and mentors and virtual assistants. I use Fiverr, I use Upwork. We've got cleaning ground crew for the Airbnbs. So you need that. You need handymen, you need HVAC people, contractors of all sorts. The big challenge, of course, is vetting everybody because it's imperative to have an A team. Title companies. You have to have the best title companies. A bad title company can ruin your life, as can a bad contractor. Right. So it's imperative to have a great team. The book Who Not How I'm revisiting right now. It's a fantastic book by Dan Sullivan. And really, right now I'm actually in the process of interviewing another assistant, a part-time assistant doing database management and taking that off my hands as well because I lost a person recently. So it's critical, especially if you're pushing to higher goals and if you know what your natural genius is. I say that people have one of three natural geniuses. Are you a people person, connecting person? Are you a systems person? Or do you like to build things? What is your natural genius? If you focus on real estate and just focus on that natural genius that you have, then it's imperative upon you that you hire everything else out or joint venture with people who have strengths that you don't have, and then split the profit. So really, my natural genius is people. I love people. I'm a server. I am a Labrador retriever, a golden retriever. I just love helping people. That's my natural genius. I'm not a systems person, but implemented systems because they're critical, but then as soon as I can, I hire them out. And then building things, I experimented with building things. That's why I chronicled the Pink Tool Belt Chronicles in some of my journeys. One of my partners said, you should do a Pink Tool Belt Chronicle, because I wear the pink tool belt when I actually help the guys. But that's not my natural genius. My natural genius is like you; it's connecting people and also strategy. I'm very creative, and I can put deals together, and yeah. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah,
Lots and lots of help.
it's
Lots and lots of help.
yeah, it's a team effort. It really is.
Yep.
Uh, Ginger, we seem to have a couple questions from the audience, so I'm going to bring a couple people on here. Cynthia Ware, you are on with Ginger. What's your question?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, JJ, for the platform and Ginger. It's a delight to hear your story. Okay, so my question is, and it's also a goal that I have for this year, is how two things for you. How did you go about to put a team together? Okay, because they kind of mention that in Fortune Builders. I'm a Fortune Builders baby also, and how do and when did you decide to pick up real estate as becoming an agent or something? Something,
Okay.
and
Yeah,
how
that's
did
a
that
great.
help you? And how did that help you?
Okay, so Cynthia, these are great questions. I would recommend the book Who Not How by Dan Sullivan, to talk about building a team. And the answer to your question is what is your goal? Okay, so for example, I have teams in place for my out of state rentals that are different from my out of state Airbnbs, that are different from I'm also a mortgage broker. Okay, and I'm a real estate broker. I have different teams because they perform different duties. I'm also a builder. So I've got different teams, right? So I have my contractors, I've got my title. So what is your goal? If your goal is to become a mortgage broker, if your goal is to run an Airbnb, so since we're talking about Airbnb, I'm assuming is that the question specifically? How do you go about getting the team for an Airbnb?
Well, I got my eye on a property outside of Detroit. It's 5 minutes walk. You'll be at the casino. It's been sitting there empty. It's two of them, two buildings right next to each other.
Yep.
And I go on Google Earth every now and then and look at it. I want that property. I think it would be a great business Airbnb because it's right there, so close to down. It's right there in downtown Detroit.
So the best advice I can give to you on that, Cynthia, is the first thing to do is to go on the Airbnb website and you target that area. You find out what other Airbnbs are doing in that area and how much they're making. It's very easy to do. You start spying on your competition. So once you know what your and then you look and how busy are they? How booked are they? Okay. So then you know how much you can charge. Once you do that, how far are you away from this property?
Oh, I'm a good ways. I don't live in Detroit. That would be a
Okay.
property I'll probably visit once a year, having me some fun.
Okay. It's good. Yeah. Yeah. So out of state, 2 hours away, a flight, how
Flight,
like
a
a
flight.
flight, a 4 hour flight, 2 hour, 1 hour, like
There's it used to be two. It used to be one in the morning and one in the evening. You'll be in from where I'm from Missouri. I would be in Detroit in hour and 20 minutes.
hour, 20 minutes. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's good. That's not too bad. So if you have to be there for something, it's not, you're not taking multiple layovers. Um, I would go on to Thumbtack and onto Craigslist. And Angie's List got converted to something, but if you go into Angie's List, you'll find it got converted to it. Somebody bought them. And start um, looking into contractors. Okay. And then another level of, and it's really important that you're not going to get a contractor who's going to hurt you.
I know a couple.
You know a few. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
from Detroit, and so I know a couple people. I still need to probably network. I still need to probably, put some fillers out there. Maybe even be go to some meetups, and get my face back known in there because there was a time period where I was able to walk into meetups and say hi to people and they knew who I was. It's been a long time since I've been there.
Okay. Well, you still want to capitalize on those trusted relationships. If you have good relationships, you can pick up the phone and call them, and they're going to say, "Hey, how are you? It's been a while," that type of thing. And you want to capitalize on that. And then ask them for referrals. Referrals are 100%. JJ will tell you, they're way better than anything that you're going to find online. Recently, I had an issue with an out of state, and without going into a big story, I had a problem with my HVAC system on my Airbnb in the middle of the winter, and a tenant was fiddling with the system, and it shut the system down. And so I
Mhm.
had to get an HVAC guy there. The guy that I called randomly would have ended up being a disaster. A guy who was a referral from my managers of my regular rentals sent a guy over there who was my absolute hero, and he was the lowest price of anyone. And the other guy would have been literally a disaster. One of those, like, he diagnosed it improperly, and then said it's going to be $650 for the gas valve, and it wasn't the gas valve. So it end up costing me thousands of dollars, and the problem wouldn't have got solved. But because I knew somebody I trusted, I got a good guy in there for $200 to take care of the problem. So
Mhm.
start
Wow.
with people you know. Start with people you know. If you have any connection all the time, right? People that you can trust, and then feel it out. I had a weird feeling about the guy who gave me the big quote that he wasn't. And I'm here in California, and this was on the other side of the country, so it was important to read that properly.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, and then did that answer your question, or did you?
Yeah.
I think you have another one. That's
Yeah,
it.
the
Okay.
other one was when did you decide to become a broker, and did that help you in this real estate investor industry? Did it help?
Yeah, that's a great question. I flew out I flew out to California in 2001, and I became a mortgage broker right off the bat. And then honestly, it was just to help my clients, because as a mortgage broker, I found that having an extra license gave me better rates for my clients. So I went through all that extra work to help my clients. But when the short sale, I went with when the mortgage crash happened,
Yeah.
and clients were coming to me saying, I lost my job, I lost my spouse, what am I going to do with this house? It's upside down. I started short selling. Within a few years, I ended up flipping 52 properties. And I
Wow.
did it as an independent because I didn't have a broker to tell me what to do or whatever. I just started doing it myself, and I controlled the whole situation. I worked with investors, I worked with myself. We bought property from the banks directly, and then we fixed them up and resold them. And by having a broker license in that case, and I didn't do it for that reason. I did it to but I always think, the more you know, the more credentialed you get, the more you learn. You absolutely, you're adding value, and
So
you don't know from moment to moment where the market is going to go. And I think that's the exciting and dynamic part of this. And the more you
yeah,
have the more tools you have available to you, the better off you are if you're serious about the business. Now, people are successful with or without broker licenses, not necessary. It just happened to work for me.
mhm. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, thank you for your great questions.
Yes, yes, yes.
Absolutely. Thank you, and always good to see you.
Yes. Always blessing to be here.
Serena Bales, you are on with Ginger. What's your question?
Yes, thank you so much. I'm also a real estate agent, so thank you so much for being on here. And thank you for the book recommendations. I've not read Nothing Down, but in the beginning, what was more important? Was it appreciation or cash flow?
Um, I was at the time a minister, and I wanted cash flow because I was volunteering my time. So I
Okay.
was volunteering my time. So I wanted cash flow, so I could quit my job and my job that was making money, and then devote my time to the ministry. So it's kind of weird back end way of. So that was what happened. Yeah, it was cash flow for me. Yeah. Yep.
Would you still recommend that now? Cash flow versus appreciation, both?
I love that question, and I've actually really thought about that question. Um, it's a personal thing. It's a totally
Right.
personal thing, right? If you're in California, there are literally people who they put the 20% down and they're like, I know this, I'm going to be writing a check for the next 5 years, but let's just say you're writing $100 a month check for 5 years, but the property is appreciated $500,000 in the 5 years. That's money in the bank, right? But if you're in an area, but if you're like at a retirement, you want retirement money and you just want the cash flow because you want to travel, right? If you want to travel and you want the cash flow, then absolutely just focus. Of course, if you can do both, right? So you want to go, focus on areas where the job growth is robust, job opportunities are robust, unemployment is low. You can always find that on city-data.com or the census, bureau, and crime is low, right? Those are areas. Those are the thumbnail sketches of what you want to look for. And so if you can get appreciation, what you don't want is depreciation. You don't want to be getting cash flow and then not being able to sell it. Otherwise you take a hit. Then what's the point, right? So you want to at least keep a little bit of growth there, because
Yep.
you can, if you do the proper research, you can go in an area where it will go up if you buy a quality piece of property. So yeah,
Awesome. Thank you so
does
much.
that, yeah, you
Deanna, you're on with Ginger. What's your question?
Oh, first of all, hi, Ginger. Thank you so much for being here.
thank you.
You
Thank you.
are super duper amazing. You're a superwoman, I tell you. You're so knowledgeable in so many
Thank you. You're
different
kind.
areas.
You're kind. Thank
But
you.
but I have a short-term rental question. So if you don't mind telling us, what markets are you in? Why did you choose those markets? And are you still adding to your short-term rental portfolio?
Yes, I am in Northern California and I am in Cleveland, Ohio, Cleveland Heights, Ohio, not specifically Cleveland proper, but Cleveland Heights. Um, the reason why I chose those areas, Northern California, these particular areas, AirDNA and MashVisor are excellent resources. Okay, I did give this specific presentation on Airbnb. I have a copy of the slide deck. If anybody wants to reach out to me afterward, I'll get you a copy of the slide deck.
Okay.
You can literally use AirDNA and MashVisor to find out what are the hottest areas in the country right now. And they will tell you and why. What's the average median price home? Okay, and they will give you the data. Now, I didn't want to choose the hot areas because I didn't want more competition. I wanted
Mhm.
what they considered the best areas. Okay. And there are some really great areas. So that's how I would, if you were going to want to extend your rental portfolio, I would use those resources. Okay. Number one.
Okay.
Number two, Northern California, because it was nearby and I knew the numbers. And one of my properties, I renovated it, and then there was this weird gap in the market, and it wouldn't flip, at least not for a profit. And I loved the house because I knew it was solid core quality. And I didn't want to let it go because I had invested quite a bit in renting it. And now it's been one of my best performers. It's been amazing. So it's kind of one of the flip that flopped, you know. So it kind of just happened, and then I was like, "Oh, look at this! I can pay the mortgage." And now I pulled cash out, and I built another one on the property, and that's doing really well as well. Um, so I would look at AirDNA and MashVisor. I would look at those areas and then use your own criteria. So for me, it has to be a direct flight or a quick car ride if I need to get there. Right. So United Airlines has a direct flight daily from SFO to Cleveland. Now, one of the things that's critical to be aware of is when you're buying across the country, honestly, I am not a believer. I know people do this all the time, but I want to be there. I want to look at it. At least in the beginning. At least in the beginning. I had 8 contracts in the Cleveland area. Beautiful photos online. And then I went there without the realtor, and I went there without the person showing me, and I saw, like, drug deals being done and this going on, and I'm like getting a creepy feeling. Or I went in there and I went, what were they thinking? They renovated it and they didn't know what they were doing. The quality of the workmanship was horrifying. Like, and I'm a luxury builder too, so I'm like, so finally I ended up, after 8 killed contracts, I ended up with this really gorgeous house. If anybody wanted to look it up, you can look up Airbnb Magic Manor, Cleveland Heights, Ohio. It's called the Magic Manor. And it's just a fantastic house, and it was well priced, and a great neighborhood. So yeah, that's it. If I were to when you're building your portfolio, I would say those are good things to keep in mind. A couple of things I think would be of value, also very much value. Think seriously about whether or not you want to be in the city or not. A lot of times cities now are kind of getting a little funky with their regulations, and that could be a danger point, right? And you have to be careful of that. Classically, some of the areas that are more safe are near national parks and places where they've already had short-term rentals, little cabins, and B2Bs back, many years, and they like the revenue because they're a little off the beaten path. They enjoy that extra revenue that we create for them, and they're less likely to regulate. The challenge with that is a lot of Airbnbs are figuring that out. So Gatlinburg is already being like chomped up and whatnot. So you have to worry about dilution. Right. So that's always, things we have to take into consideration. So does that help?
Yes. Are you still, the last part of that question are you still building your portfolio in today's market with everything
Yeah,
that's
that's a great
going on?
question. I am open to it. I've been focusing my energy on the commercial market for 2024. I think there's a lot of opportunity because of the shakeup with the rates, and I'm seeing the shakeup with the commercial.
Okay.
So I'm kind of focusing on that right now. I'm open to building the portfolio if in as things flow. If I see opportunity. The other thing that's valuable, and what I have, like, in my creative little mind, I have little ideas of how and when. I love the hospitality world. I don't know if any of you
Sure.
saw the YouTube video of the guy who built a lake. He had this crappy lake, and he cleaned out the lake and put 5 A-frames around it, and he's doing great. So I have if I see, sometimes I'll be poking around for lakefront and things like that. So I'm open to it for sure, and also using the property. I've got about an acre on one of my properties that's underutilized. I'm just putting a pickleball court on it right now, because that's the fastest growing sport, and in
It
Airbnb, it's
is.
the fastest growing, right? So that will, attract. So I'm in the process of doing that right now, being stalled by the weather, but that's picking up shortly. And so I would encourage you, if you have an Airbnb, how much land do you have? How much land will they allow you to build on? One of the cool things I did with one of my Airbnbs is I built out, we had 1,000 square feet extra of, check this one out. It's called the Cowboy Farmhouse in Placerville, California. It's absolutely adorable. And it was a garage and a workshop that was attached to the house. And it was, every time I walked in there, I'm like, oh, I got to do something with this. I got to do something with this. So one day I pulled cash out of the house, and then I built up, and it's just fabulous. And I've got like so many great reviews on it. It's, one of the best loved houses, guest favorites type of thing. So if you have land, I would highly recommend that you look into what can you do with that land? How can you utilize it?
Yes,
You know, and
I
of course,
have land.
yeah, yeah. Look, how can you utilize it? You know, does it mean a yurt or you know that those are popular now? The you know the yurts and even the streamliner. What do they call them? Streamliners, the silver silver bullet streamliners, what
Yes,
can you do with it? How can you make it into something fun? You know, hospitality is fun. Serving people in that way is really fun and making it,
yeah.
putting your own flavor. I know women love that. You know, we have a little design flavor, so yeah, that's
Love
part of the
decor.
fun. Yeah, exactly. That's part of the fun. That's why I told I have a dream team, a couple partners, and I said, I love decorating and making money, but all this other stuff is just work. I just do it because I have to, but I just love decorating, decorating and
Yeah.
making money. Everything else I just do because I have to, and they just laughed.
Right.
So
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
Deanna, did that answer your question?
sure did that and then some more. Thank you so much, Ginger. Much appreciated. God bless you.
you too, you too. Thanks for
Yeah, so
asking.
good to see you again. Thank you for joining us. James Fang, you are on with Ginger Faith. What's your question?
Ginger, how are you?
Hi, thanks. Good, good.
So my question is actually, it was actually pretty similar to Deanna's question. So I'm thinking about building out an Airbnb portfolio, and it has to be out of state because I'm in Dallas, and Dallas does not allow for short-term rentals with multifamily. So
Mhm.
could you flesh out a little bit when you do look on Airbnb, AirDNA and Mass Advisors, what metrics do you use to find the right market? Because when I think about it, there are super hot tier one city markets like Miami where you could probably make a lot of revenue, but house prices are still high. You're going to eat a lot of interest costs.
Mhm.
Your bottom line is going to be pretty low. So how do you determine like markets like Ohio, what metrics do you use to find that? Where it's like the sweet spot where, you do have enough demand, but at the same time, you're not spending that much on interest payments.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. That takes time, and I don't think I can give you a pat answer. I read over many of the hot markets, and why does AirDNA? Okay, so they literally track every single house on the planet through their algorithms and people intersecting. Okay, and they will give you what they think. Why do they think this is an area that is hot versus up and coming? And maybe can you capitalize on a tertiary market, like not necessarily Miami, but maybe outside of Miami? What national parks are nearby hot markets? What is the demand? Okay, so ultimately you want to figure out what do you want to make? How much of that, it's just like any other rental, right? How much does it cost? What are all the expenses involved? Of course, you have more expense. You said you have rentals already. You have Airbnbs already?
No, no, I don't.
Not yet. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, so you have the extra maintenance involved, right? You've got
Mhm.
you have to find out how much the cleaning people charge. Yeah, the metrics are the metrics are the numbers, plain and simple. How much does it cost to maintain? Um, what is the average rental rate? What like how many what's the average uh, occupancy rate in any one given month? And is it seasonal? That's the thing, right? Is it seasonal? So yeah, the metrics are the numbers determine how much you want to make and how this will fit. And there's no like, right or wrong. People are making money in every market. And there are people who are folding up, right? So it's a very dynamic market. Um, um, so I would just say, like I hate to say this, but do a lot of homework. It's a big question. Another way you could do it is to rent a place. It's less of an investment. Rent a place and kind of get a feel for it, especially if you're brand new. You might decide I hate this. And then now you're stuck with a house that can't rent out for the same amount it would Airbnb. But if you start with a rental in an area that's that they're allowing it, that might be a good way to start. then you can get your feet wet, and then you say, I really like this, or I can do this, and I can get good at this, and then it'll cost you significantly less than if you were to buy the house. I honestly, I would say if you're brand new, that's probably the way to go. That's probably the way to go.
You're talking about Airbnb arbitrage, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I would
Okay.
say to start off. Start off, do all the same homework that you would do, right?
Got it.
Yeah, and it's the numbers, clean and simple. You have to. My last Airbnb, I bought it, and I'm sorry, JJ, I'll make this fast.
No, 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 no.
It took me 4 months of okay, but I 4 months of research. I flew down there twice, but when I bought the house and I got my ground team on there, I was there in Ohio for 1 week, and we turned this Magic Manor into a gem that was profitable in the beginning, and it was really a great thing. But I had like about 4 months of like staying up at night, looking at Mashvisor, looking at Zillow, looking at, cross-referencing. And I did have a manager down there who operates my other long-term rentals that I was able to cross-reference as well. So if you know anybody in an area, that might be a good place to start. If you love an area, that might be a good place to start.
That's great, thanks. And really to summarize, it's like kind of do my own research paper, go through it. I'm probably going to find some common themes, and they're gonna have rationales justifying why they think markets are hot, and kind of have to use my own discretion at some point because there's no magic answer per se.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a delicate balance between oversaturation because it's a hot market and something that's a dud. So
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you very much.
James, thank you for joining us. Naomi, you are on with Ginger. What's your question?
Thank you first and foremost for the wealth of information. I've been looking for quite a while now how to blend my passion for health with my real estate passion, and venturing in to put together some shorter term, longer term rentals with tools, devices, and equipment to help people heal. It's something I wish I would have had.
Mhm.
But my question to you is, what are some pitfalls when it comes to, say, CYA, for protection and security? What are some things that you think I need to consider to protect the investments and the equipment that I'm going to put in?
Oh, I see. Insurance, umbrella insurance. And I mean specific insurance if you have like high-tech equipment. Yeah. And then finding somebody who knows how to maintain the equipment, as well as I would do video instructions to the clients on how to use the the equipment. Make sure that they don't mess it up. They don't start pushing buttons and like it did with my HVAC system, right? Is that what you're kind of looking for? You're thinking of putting
Yeah,
expensive
yeah. And the equipment, I'm
in a
going to keep it
rental?
simple enough that they have a less likelihood of, messing it up. But these are pricier investments that most, average person are not going to be able to bring into their house, but to have that as a powerful tool in your recovery, it would have made such a difference for me. It would have sped up everything so quickly. So you said umbrella insurance is a big thing to consider.
I know I have
Um,
specific insurance on that particular machine, warranties on the machine. Make sure you have your warranties and somebody who can maintain the machines if it's a specialty. Yeah, that's what I would, that's, yeah, that's probably the best thing I can think of to protect that. Now, Airbnb's got a certain amount of coverage, but I don't know how that translates. Typically, in the beginning, I don't know what happened. In the beginning, when I was doing Airbnb, I found that there were people who were more disrespectful to the property. I don't know if it's that things changed nationally with the rating systems with Airbnb. It became more known. I like to think it was something I did that I got better people, something, up the game. But I find that most people are very, very respectful of my houses. And I don't, and maybe it's the price point. I don't know. Maybe if you charge a higher price point, but I think it could be one of the good things about using the Airbnb system is that there is an accountability. and they are expected. The other thing is, this is something that I think very valuable. You can, in the Airbnb app, you can basically tell people what your house rules are, and you can write them down and put them on the refrigerator, about and respect for the material, respect for this machine. My cleaners told me when I put a big sign on the refrigerators, here are the house rules, that people left the place nicer than when I didn't do that. So you might want to do that in your descriptions. I have a very detailed, and Airbnb said something like, people don't like a lot of house rules. And I thought, well, they can go somewhere else then, because I put it was very respectful, but it basically is a long, this is what I expect. This is what it's long, and it's respectful. It's always about, look, I want to keep a beautiful house for you. And so this is why we do this. And so in your case, I want to keep a superior machine that actually works, that can actually help you. And in order to do this, we need you to have the utmost respect for this wonderful miracle machine that I have here for you. Something like that, I think that might help as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think having a unique niche like that will hopefully bring quality people, not looking to party and destroy a house. So
Right.
different scenarios and different settings will make a difference. But thank you for that invaluable advice.
It's always touchy, when we have equipment, we have other things besides just regular housing. Because as you said, do we go for a higher price point? Hoping people are going to take care of our property, especially if there's equipment that's movable or removable. That's always tricky. I remember, I've got commercial property, and before my mom passed, these were family owned. And I remember one of the centers, my mom decided to take a note and put it in. We had someone that would, clean it was an old converted house and offices. And we had someone that was cleaning the place up and vacuuming and addressed the restroom. But my mom decided to tape a note to the mirror that said, "Your mother doesn't live here, so clean up after yourself." And the tenant said here to that. It was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm-hmm.
interesting. Omar, you're on with Ginger. What's your question?
All right, thank you guys for hosting this. I have a two-part question. My first question is, I have a college friend that started launching Airbnbs about a year and a half ago. He's extremely successful, and he has answered some of my questions recently. He has a bunch of units in the same city that I'm at in Los Angeles. My question is, should I just go up to him and ask him? And this is like a weird question, but should I just ask him if he knows any landlords? Because I'm gonna definitely start by renting out apartments. Should I just ask him if he knows of any landlords that would automatically just, be okay with renting out a unit for Airbnb? That's my first question. And then my last question would be, I've been saving up for about a year and a half, and I have around $10,000 cash flow, and then I've built my credit up to having better credit. I now have access to around 12,000 in credit cards. So my question to you would be, am I ready to launch my first unit with that kind of income, or should I get more cash flow? I guess I'm just a little bit scared, but it's like I need to start at one point. So what do you think?
Yeah, I would start by doing the rental arbitrage for sure. Not,
Uh-huh.
renting it. And you could actually ask your friend who's successful already if you can help him.
Oh,
He probably is overwhelmed and he needs help.
yeah.
So ask him, say, hey, how can I help you? Here are my assets. Here's what I have going for me. How can I help you? And then he will, more than likely, you could get some sort of financial arrangement while you get an apprenticing. You get a free education, plus you can make money. And he's more than likely, if you pitch it the right way, I would
Mm-hmm.
work on the wording, and find out what is it that you need. Find out where his pain points are, because if he
Okay.
grew really fast, he's got some pain points, and the pain points are help. So you might want to say, hey, does he need an HVAC guy? Does he need a cleaning people? Does he need this to just volunteer to help him? And then after you help him, ask him, say, I really would like to do this. But I would go in, lead with a giving hand, find out how you can help him. And then once you do that, I think that's the best way to start.
Okay. I will say I think he already has a great team. And when we did speak, I did offer my help. I said, if you're ever out of town and you have an emergency or you need this or that, I'm here. And he said, thank you. And then he gave me every piece of information. He's never been greedy about information, which is lovely. He did grow them really fast. Do you think with the kind of capital that I have, an average apartment in LA, a one bedroom, a studio probably 1,800, a one bedroom probably 2,400, a two bedroom around close to 3,000. So do you think with 10,000 like cash flow, am I ready to find my own place in case he doesn't need help?
Okay, with 10,000 cash flow is not bad. You might need a backer. You might want a backer, a family, maybe a family friend in case you get into a tight situation.
Okay.
And then but look into go on the Airbnb, find out who is getting what kind of income, and how you can do a little bit better than them. The goal is to get it to cash flow as quickly as possible and not have to pull any money out of you. The only challenge is, of course, you're going to have to do the furnishing, right? And I am the queen of furnishing on the cheap. I am the queen. So I will share with you. Just let me know. I'll get you my video. I'll share it with JJ. My first video, it was like all the ways you can furnish on the cheap and like still look 5-star, right? Because
Yeah.
that's like what I love to do. But see if you can get it. Do your research on the Airbnb website. What are they making? So if you get a studio apartment and you're paying, $2,000 a month, will it be able to bring you 3,500? If he's doing well, it can be done. So I would do that. You would just get a backer. 10,000 is respectable, and you want to get started, but just make sure you cover your back end in case you get a hiccup. What if something happens and something happens? You always got to have a reserve. Do you have any reserve?
What's reserved?
That means like 20,000, 100,000, whatever, money in the bank, cash,
Okay.
just in case you need to pull it. Something, my first house, the HVAC went like, years ago. I went, oh crap, right? That's 10 grand. And that was a good deal back then to
Yeah.
redo the HVAC, right? But if you're renting, it's going to be different, but there might be things that'll come up. You'll need less if you're renting.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to talk to landlords, one thing I would recommend is pitch them on Business Travelers.
Yeah.
You could, yeah, pitch them on Business Travel. So I'll be having Business Travelers coming in, and we're gonna and tell them that you're going to be cleaning it every week, and then you're going to have professional maintenance. You have a crew and all that stuff, so that they'll know that their house is going to be well taken care of. Airbnb is getting more popular now, so it's not a barrier resistant like it was like 10 years ago. But
Okay.
yeah, you can definitely do it. You can do it.
Okay. So you recommend starting out with go in with someone else who's willing to spend some money and invest also then.
And just to furnish it,
Okay.
if you don't have it. I mean, if you can get a cheap credit card from a credit union, then you could put it on that and don't let the tenants pay for your furniture. You could do
Okay.
that too. That's another option.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Ginger, we have a question here from a young man on the call. It says, what are your thoughts about buying an existing Airbnb? I understand it is a twofold question, but curious on your take.
I love that question. That's a great question. My first question is like, why did they fail? Right? That's like 100%. Like, why did they fail? Okay. So I am not opposed to that at all. I haven't done it, but I've seen it. I've seen it online in different groups. Okay. Are they terrible decorators? Were they bad hosts? Were they sloppy? Were they lazy? Were they lazy? Also, is it overpriced? Are you buying the house or are you buying the unit? Right. So how much is it going to cost you and how can you do better? So it still gets down to the basic thing, but I think it's a great idea conceptually, as long as you can address those hot spots. Maybe, but again, it just depends on the numbers and can you do better? If they have crappy furniture in there and they went to the Salvation Army, and you look at that like, now I have to get rid of their crappy furniture and make the thing nicer. And is it going to be more work for me to do? So, but it's worth looking into. It's worth looking into. But I'd find out what their story is. Tell me what your story is. So, did you just feel like this isn't for me? So Were they
Yeah,
getting bad were they getting bad reviews? You know, can you check into their history? Will they allow you to look into their history if they closed up? You know, so I would look at it that way. Just
those are all great points. And just like anytime anybody's selling a house, and exactly, you hit it around there. Why are they selling? Are they possibly, older folks are ready to retire, they just don't want to do it anymore? It might be just going just fine, but they just want to cash out and get on, and hey, it's somebody else's turn. And like you said, it could be another reason. But again, Troy, uh, as Ginger was saying, just look into it, find out what the possible reasons are. I don't know if you have a particular Airbnb in mind, or if that's just a general all around question. But I think Ginger hit it right on the nose with the answer there. So Ginger, thank you so much. We're going to take one last question. Valentina, you're on with Ginger. What's your question?
Yeah, Ginger, thanks for taking time to be with us and be patient answering. Guess what? I'm in the Cleveland area. I'm like only half an hour from Cleveland Heights.
Oh,
and
beautiful.
Yeah, and I already saw the house, as you were talking. I Googled, I texted you already. You have all my information if you need any help.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm willing. I'm a people person. When you said that it's in Airbnb, my first question was like, oh, I never thought of the Cleveland Heights. What are usually people coming to that area for? Like, and what's the base what you are saying, occupancy and the rate of, how is that doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. The biggest draw is the Cleveland Clinic. It is one of the
Yes.
world-renowned. I mean, people. There one client actually told me, I happened to be there at the time. They said that my mom had a very specific type of heart surgery, and it is only offered in the Cleveland hospital in the entire world. In the entire world,
Yeah.
and they have some of the best hospitals on the planet. And I specifically chose something within a 5-mile radius of that clinic. It's a mega campus, so that was my big draw. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm having my cleaning person, because we've dropped off, of course, for January. It's cold there. It's after Christmas, so I'm going over to I'm having her going over to some of the hotels, the extended stays, and drop in flyers on contractor, because there are some contractors who do interior work even in the wintertime, and anybody who has a truck with a phone number. So we're trying to drum up business right now in January. So it is definitely seasonal. We did fine. Everything was great. I got it in May. June. June 9th was our kickoff date, and everything's been fine right up until this month. It kind of dropped off a little bit. So we're seeing what we can do to kind of get up a little bit. But it's cold there, and it's snowy and rainy. So before I was talking about place being seasonal, right? And that is, but it's fine up until Christmas. But now we're noticing. But this is our first year. Also, Cleveland, generally speaking, Airbnb, according to the Airbnb statistics, is 135% more volume of people looking to rent in the Cleveland area. So they're up substantially. So
Yes.
they were part of the my AirDNA and Mashvisor research is one of the best markets in the country. So that's one of the reasons. And I have a property manager there that I call on him for anything. He doesn't visit my property at all, but if I need him for something, the HVAC guy the other day, right?
Yeah,
So
yes. And then I went today, JJ, to the powerhouse of the SAP2 meeting, power hours that SAP2 of the area has.
Yeah.
And the guy that is leading, he said he's a construction guy. He has his own team, Ginger. So I can sure connect you with him if you need to.
tell him he should save money and go to the Magic Manor instead of the extended stay.
Yes. I don't know if you have thought of that, but I worked for the Cleveland Clinic. I know the system inside out. And there is another hospital there, University Hospitals, a good one as well, big competitors, like you said. But another advantage of that area that I was looking for myself is there are some big universities. It's the same distance. like
Yes.
Case
Case
Western, Cleveland
Western, yes.
State, or Metro Health is another 20 miles, but there are buses down that road. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good, good. And then
Yeah.
did you buy that as a creative financing or
You know, I actually did. I
good?
posted,
Yeah.
here's what I did. I posted an ad on my Facebook and I said, I'm looking for someone to partner with me on it. I got some clients of mine who put up the down payment. And then I contacted somebody who wanted to invest in real estate. And I said, hey, so and so, I have this property. Would you like to be a bank? And what are you making in the bank? And it's like, okay, 3% in the bank. And like, well, I'll give you X. And so I did private lending completely on that. And then my bank gave me a free credit card because I opened up a LLC in my bank and they just sent it to me and they said, hey, it's free for 18 months. I said, that's good enough to furnish this property. So I used it to furnish it. And it literally on that one, it was like zero down. So
That's good. And I had another question. How did you get the lead for that? Yeah.
well, like I said, I had eight properties that I was in contract and I killed them. We happened to be there. Me and my partners, we happened to be there and we went to an open house.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, this is great. Look at this place. And the numbers were good. You know, Cleveland properties, the taxes are high there, but the property values are really, really compressed for the value you get. So we end up getting it for a really good deal and the numbers work. So it ended up working
Okay.
out.
Wow, you got some great gold nuggets flying out there. We have some great questions. Um, I can't thank you enough for being here today. I could probably go another 2 hours with more questions, but let's kind of wrap it up. Um, I've got two more things to ask you. We've got people on the call that might want to connect, maybe people watching on YouTube later down the line. For those that want to reach out to you, what would be the best way to connect if they had a question or something? Would it be your MySpace page? Would it be your TikTok? Do you have a website? What would be the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me, my website. I have a few websites specifically, but womenswealthnetwork.net. Put in your information and I'll get it. That and then my email is everywhere. ginger@cellularbayareahome.com or text.
Fantastic. I've got one last question for you. My group's a networking group, and I'm always talking about the importance of networking. And I think, after a while, sometimes I become the, talking head. Um, but from your standpoint, you're successful, you've been in this game for a minute, you're proven, you're accomplished. There are so many real estate education platforms that have new people coming every day, new investors and experienced investors, but they're new to social media, they're new to these education groups that have a Facebook page for their community. We're now using social media. For people and some people are coming with a Facebook page, some are making a brand new page to join the community, whatever education group. What is the importance of actually networking for these people using social media to the success of their business? And what would be the importance of joining a group like mine?
Yeah, thank you for this question. My first thought is JJ, you're doing a great job. And I'm just saying this, you're doing a great job. And with social media, it's a two-edged sword. And we're living in a world of incredible opportunity and danger, right? So that Chinese symbol, right, of danger and opportunity is always there. And that's the same thing with social media. Social media has predators out there. There are people who will take your money, like the gentleman was saying before our call about his mom and dad being ripped off by 50 grand back in the day. There are people out there right now and they're posing as investors. They're posing and they may be knowledgeable and they may be dangerous. So it is necessary for us to forge quality relationships with people of integrity. Warren Buffett said that when he works with anyone, they have to have three qualities. They have to have energy, they have to have integrity, and they have to have knowledge. And he said if they have knowledge and energy but no integrity, they're a disaster, right? You don't want those. He said you want people to be lazy if they have knowledge and no character. We want them to be lazy, but we don't want them to be high energy. So it's critical, these groups, you're bringing people and you're making a culture, and you're very clear on what the culture is. The book Sapiens, that classic book, talked about how we evolved as creatures, as humans, and we evolved by gossiping. When we gossiped, what that meant was we actually protected the tribe from being hurt by telling people, watch out for this, come here, right? Come here and don't do this, don't do that. So in 30 years of the business, I've seen people who are very dangerous, and now it's amplified with social media. You are doing an excellent job of creating a culture, and you're telling people very specifically, we're friends. Now I know you, I'm getting to know you, and I know everybody on the call who's here now is saying, you know what, if you found out that there was a bad egg, they'd be gone like that. So this is critical in this industry. We need to have a team that we trust. And the minute they do not, they're not trustworthy, they need to go immediately, preferably sooner rather than later. So what you're doing is extremely important. Protect the tribe from the wolves and keep everybody on the up and up. Because the truth is, like you keep commenting on it, keep seeing how you're building this culture. We can all be successful and have it spiral up. It doesn't have to be sharks like the old days. It's just, we're not that way. We're not there anymore. There's too much opportunity going forward. We don't have to be, having the industrialists with a few people on the top and the masses. We can all grow and we can all be successful. So what you're doing is critical, and I appreciate what you're doing, JJ.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you guys are watching now on YouTube, please like Ginger's video in the comment section below. Please put your takeaways, what you found important or informative. Let us know, what you thought was valuable. If you guys are in the car right now, do not go away. We're going to go to the breakout rooms in just a minute. Again, if you guys want to connect with Ginger, again, it's going to be womenswealthnetwork.net. If you want to connect with me, go to my website, jjzizian.com, and click the little register now button. And, look for more videos coming up on Flip Side Up with JJ. And you'll see Ginger, they'll see you and I on social media, right? Your website and my website, and you've got an Instagram, you've got a YouTube channel as well, right?
I do. I'm going to get it start activated again. I've been busy with projects, but
So you're going to
I'm
be
going to
growing and growing, and we'll just see you
yeah.
out there. So guys,
Yep.
look for Ginger, myself. We'll be out there on the internet, out there in, networking land. And Ginger, we'll see them soon, right?
Yes. Thank you all. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys. Thank you so much for joining us today.